It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Welcome to another weekend, the final weekend of 2012. It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show along with Blake Sloan. I'm your host, Dave Priest, and over the next 30 minutes, you're going to be getting lots and lots of information. We'll be recapping some of the stuff in 2012, but lots of information that you're going to need to know. And if you can't get it all at once, and you need to get it like clarification on some of the information you're getting, there's plenty of phone numbers and contact information in case you do want to get in touch with Blake Sloan at the Sloan Realty Group. His phone number, I'll be giving these numbers down again as the course of the show goes on. The phone number is 808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. You can also go onto the website at blakesloanradio.com. And also, if you'd like to email your question, you can at ask@blakesloanradio.com. Plenty of ways for you to get in touch. And like I said, we'll be repeating those numbers throughout the course of the next 30 minutes here of the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show here on Hot Talk 99.5 WRNN. Without further ado, a final weekend of the year. Blake Sloan is back. And Blake, thanks for coming back in again this weekend.
Absolutely. Good morning.
You have a good weekend last. You were on vacation. We ran a best of show last weekend because you were on vacation. Did you get your batteries recharged?
Absolutely. It was a very, very much needed vacation. Burned a candle at both ends for a long time, and it's perfect to be able to recharge. And we kind of planned for 2013 and did our strategy as a company, and it was great to get away. I'm back in, and I'm very, very excited about 2013 and everything that's going on in the real estate market right now as well.
Well, that's what's going on in the real estate market, but what are we going to be talking about over the next 30 minutes?
A lot of great information for both buyers and sellers, and we have new local market numbers and some big news in the foreclosure world, even here locally in South Carolina, where some recent numbers came out. South Carolina is one of the top states in regards to foreclosure filings. We'll kind of detail that, how that affects us, and where we're at. We're also doing like a 2012 year in review in regards to real estate and the top regions people moved in 2012, which is very important to anybody thinking about selling their house because you're able to reverse engineer in regards to who exactly may be buying it and how you set it up. We're going to talk about the top 5 real estate stories of 2012. And the big thing that everybody's talking about is we're going to talk about the massive impact that the fiscal cliff can have on certain homeowners. And the really important thing there is most of them don't even know it's affecting them, and they don't really realize the huge implications that can happen if they're one of those homeowners. We'll talk about that. And we're also talking about the number one mistake that home sellers make when listing their home at the first of the year, because everyone always waits to the first of the year and they kind of flood the market. So we'll talk about what mistakes there to kind of avoid and get around to not cost yourself thousands. And of course, the usual, we'll have some smoking hot deals for you guys where you can get VIP access to all the new listings even before they hit the market, and we'll show you how to do that at the end of the show.
Yeah, right at the very end of the show, we always get some smoking hot kind of secret deals so that you can kind of get out on the ground floor on that. Now, if you are brand new to the show, we've been doing this for several weeks now, but if you are not familiar with Blake Sloan, here's who he is. Industry leaders have called him the real estate whiz kid because he's been featured in, like we've said, in the commercials in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, in Realtor magazine, other national publications, endorsed by Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, and if you put all of those things together, it's just unprecedented, and we're glad to have him here along the Grand Strand to help us out. Now, we learned last week about how you and your team work together and how a good portion of your success has come from your trademark systems that you've developed for both sellers and for buyers here in the market. If you could just quickly recap some of what you've been talking about.
Absolutely, and this is something that I can say over and over again because you can't say it enough. The single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller or a home buyer is 100% the agent that you choose. That's what determines your success or failure and outcome. And we've talked about the different failure rates in regards to home sellers. Over 50% of those homes fail to sell the first time in the market. But just to say it again, the single most important variable that determines your success or failure in today's marketplace is the agent you choose and or the systems or process they use through the entire process. Both the buyer and seller side have over 100 different variables that need to be managed through the entire process. And our trademark systems do just that. Our guaranteed sold system, which sells houses faster and for up to 20% more money, practically manages all those variables to the entire process to make sure that we can, capitalize on those, create leverage at every single aspect, and get the most amount of money for your home, and also sell it fast. And the Unfair Advantage home buying system for home buyers allows them to get the absolute best deals and beat other buyers to those listings. But at the same time, there's so many other aspects which we help on to make sure you get the absolute best financing based on your situation. Doesn't matter if it's a first-time home buyer or investor. We're able to hook up with lenders who can get them the best loans at the best rates, which is really important. So each of these proven systems are reverse engineered to create maximum leverage at every single one of the 100+ variables to the entire process. And that kind of leads us to the number one mistake we talked about that sellers make, and kind of want to just touch that really quick, because everyone we talk to seller-wise, they always say, let's wait till the first year, especially through the holidays. So what you see all the time is it just absolutely floods the market January, February. Well, the big thing is most home sellers don't realize it, how impactful who they choose to sell their home affects them. That's why we talk about the number here in our local market. 52.31% of homes fail to sell the first time. And there's so many verbs that, because most people, they just basically list the property, throw a sign on the ground, do open house, and they pray that someone else sells it for them. Meanwhile, they're out doing that next listing. We also see so many of those properties expire. Let's say expire in October, and they're like, hey, well, let's wait till the first year, try it with a friend, whatever it may be. That's just pretty much setting yourself up for failure, where you need to make sure that you have an agent or someone who has a system to practically manage all those variables and actually has proof. I'm just saying certain things, but that's something that's really important because there's so much competition out there, right? So supply and demand, there's more supply, same amount of demand. Guess what? That's really important to make sure you're maximizing your demand for your property, and you're doing that. And that's what our guaranteed sold system does. And even before, we talked to people recently who they had $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 house that expired, and we're like, hey, did you have professional photography? Nope. Well, guess what? That's probably one of the reasons it expired. Did you have a high definition video tour? Nope. Well, guess what? That's probably one of the reasons. So there's so many things there that people don't realize that makes a big, big difference. And our entire system creates leverage at every single one of those. And we can kind of talk about it at the end, but the number one thing, hey, make sure you interview a few agents if you're listing your house first year, and compare them to, right? Numbers don't lie, systems don't lie, and we'll compare our numbers all day long, every day, to anyone on the beach because our system does work, and we literally license our system out to other agents across the country. So that's something we talk about too, and we'll kind of touch that a little bit at the end of the show as well.
Well, the market does get flooded this time of the year, but if you've got the right agent in your corner, like you, Blake, then that's going to make a whole lot of a big difference. So you're not discouraging people from putting their houses on the market this year, at this time of the year. They just need to do it right.
Absolutely, hands down. That's what I'm saying. Hey, look, if you're going to do it, make sure that the one mistake there is just going with anyone, going with a friend or the first agent, or just thinking that agents are a commodity, which could not be further from the truth. Or go with an agent who has the lowest commission, whatever it may be, because you're able to maximize that value there in regards to how fast homes sell, how much they sell for, which is a big, like our guaranteed sold system sells properties 8% higher in regards to list to sale price ratio than the MLS. So that's just 8% right there, not to mention all the other stuff we do in regards to increasing demand. We are able to increase perceived value, things like that we'll talk about and show based on the situation analysis. And it's absolutely, if you want to you plan to get on the market, do that. Make sure that you're going with someone who has the best track record, best system, and compare it apples to apples.
All right, when we come back in just a second, what we'll do is we'll start looking at some numbers, because a lot of real estate has to do with numbers. So we'll look at some real estate statistics here locally, interest rates, mortgage rates, things like that. That's all coming up in just a second. Remember, if you have any specific questions for Blake Sloan or the Sloan Realty Group, give them a call at 808-SOLD. That's area code 843-808-SOLD. And of course, you can go onto the website at BlakeSloanRadio.com. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what does it take to sell your home fast and for the most money in Myrtle Beach? Blake Sloan, Sloan Realty Group, has a system for attracting buyers that's so effective, he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and deadline that you agree to, or he'll have it bought with cash. Now, how can he do
we did pretty good as far as filling. I think we're at the end of this, we'll be at close to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was watching over here. That's what I was trying to do, so that's good.
Yeah, we had plenty of time, so, we just filled. I think we'll be good.
Cool. I figured I'd just wing that first part, depending on what we do.
Helps them sell within
So we're
weeks,
good.
not months, and for top dollar. Now, you risk nothing, since if at any point you're not happy, Blake Sloan, well, if he lets you fire him and you pay nothing. Now, the phone call is easy. Not knowing your options or getting bad advice, well, that can cost a small fortune. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or get a free home evaluation. information at blakesguarantee.com. That website again, blakesguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. I'm your host, Dave Priest, and a lot of stuff that has to do with real estate has to do with numbers. Obviously, numbers very important. If you're not a math number kind of person, that's okay. Blake is. He'll be able to walk you through the process. But Blake, speaking of numbers, we've got some local statistics here to go over. What are we looking at locally as far as real estate goes?
Absolutely, we finally got them. One of our data sources. Usually we get it a couple weeks ago, but I don't know if they had the Thanksgiving vacation or what, but we got the numbers from November, and pretty much the sales momentum from the third quarter carried into November, which is great. And for November, single-family homes, the sales activity was strong. The volume was up 12.6% compared to November last year, 2011, and that's a really good sign to see. And so far, year-to-date for single-family homes, sales are up 15.6%. versus comparable volumes 2011, same year to date. So the strong sales are there, and we've also seen a decline in inventory, which is great. And the other aspect of that obviously is, okay, well, what's that mean for the pricing? And the first step to recovery is obviously sales going up. But what we're seeing, though, is that median sale price is still falling a little bit, but not too much. Median sales price fell 3.15% so far this year compared to 2011, which means we're kind of making that bottom line curve, scraping the bottom, hopefully to make that recovery to the positive. The first step there obviously is more sales, which will in turn help equal out that market and then start going back up once it scrapes the bottom. In regards to condos, it was also strong as well, where November condo sales were up 28.4% compared to November a year ago, which is huge. And we've seen a lot of that in our business too. A lot of cash buyers, a lot of investors are kind of getting a little more confident there. We see some take money out of other investments, put it into that, where now there's a little more confidence that it has getting towards the bottom a little more. But the strong months have obviously continued year-to-date, where year-to-date condo sales are up 10.5% versus year-to-date 2011, which is great. And also there was a huge amount of inventory in condos that's now declined some, which is really, really good. But so far year-to-date condos, the sales price is down 3.7% with a median sale price of $104,000. So that's really good. Even to the lots, which we see, lots have been really slow because there's so much that was developed, and people could buy, built homes for really less than they could build in some cases. But lot sales are up 40% year to date, which is great, and the sales price is still flat. So that's a great, great sign that all that stuff's coming together, hopefully, for that recovery that everyone's hoping for and looking forward towards next year.
I know, especially in this market, condo sales have been really, really, really soft. So it's good to see you.
Absolutely, because those are like those second homes before investment properties, which people who don't live there let those go first, so they can keep their own home. But now there's more confidence getting back in. Prices have come down to meet that buyer demand of those investors, and people are putting their cash into it. And the banks have loosened up a little bit on financing, which is great as well.
Now, I know that you were talking a little bit ago during some of the local statistics there as far as interest rates are concerned. Speaking of that, where are we right now as far as interest?
We're still hovering around the absolute record lows, and the national weekly average from Freddie Mac, they release a report each week in regards to national numbers, slightly down from last week, which is great. It dropped to a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. The average rates national, the whole nationwide, were 3.35%. 15-year fixed rate was 2.65%. And that's down 2 basis points. It's down to 3.35 from the previous week of 3.37. And we've seen a few where, a few weeks ago, I think it was down 3.32, 3.34, jump back up, now jump back down, which is a good sign. But as we talked about, rates are expected to go up next year, as well. So that's something for anyone that's on the fence or thinking, definitely if you want to reach out, we can certainly help you with that. The one cool thing we got worked out, because we do a lot of volume in our office, is we worked out a deal where all of our listeners can get a certificate, then get an additional 0.125% discount on their rate just when they work through us, and we'll be able to pass that savings on to them through our volume that we use.
You're listening to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group here. Of course, in case you want to get in touch with Blake at any time, you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD for the phone number. Now, when I was looking over your shoulder before the show started, I saw that you've got a lot of handouts and a lot of cool infographics over there. And as we end the year, we always see these end-of-the-year lists, and I saw that you have one there, the main reason why people moved.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff, and that's one thing we like to do, where we don't like to really guess or risk things. We're going to plan to win, right? So we want to see who's buying what are they buying, and we're going to reverse engineer our systems and our ability for our clients around that. So, for home sellers, that's very important. Depending on what your range is, we're going to look at demographics of who we're going to buy, and we want to know why they're buying so we can market to them and obviously increase that demand. But the three biggest, groups would be family reasons and marital status. And this info is from the Census Bureau from this year, but marital status change, 6.3% bought, and they next is they want to start to own their own household, 10.7. Other was 12.3 in regards to family reasons. It could be someone moving in, getting larger, whatever that may be. But some of the really key parts is the housing reasons, I guess you say, where that's how they group it. But wanted to own a home, 4.7%. Those are people who kind of transition from that rental to own side, who maybe have not done before. They want a newer, better home, which is pretty much like a move-up buyer. 15.9%. So it's really important, to be able to market them and help them. Our system solves their problem, where those people get caught in that catch-22. Do you buy first or sell first?
Right.
And our guaranteed sold system, it helps keep them from getting stuck owning two, or we'll guarantee their home to sell, which is a huge thing there. Cheaper housing, which a lot of people took advantage of, 8.9%. Some were evicted or foreclosed, 2.2%. But you're seeing there, those are people who actually were able to buy after that fact, which we've had clients do the same thing through short sales.
Yeah.
There's other there, 14.4% they listed as other. Other job reasons, 9.5% got a new job, 1.8 bought something looking for new work, and 5.5 bought something for an easier commute. Where they're seeing there's availability in regards to mortgages there, really low rates, and there's very, very affordable housing where a lot of people can either move up, buy something else to be able to do so. But those are some of the really cool key reasons, and we'll post this infographic on the radio site so that everybody can check it out and get a feel for it. But it's something key there to look at, especially for a home seller, so you can reverse engineer and make sure you plan to win. That's exactly what our guaranteed sold system does.
Yeah, you go ahead and post that up on BlakeSloanRadio.com if you'd like to check that out. If you'd like to check out anything about the show, obviously that's the website to go to. BlakeSloanRadio.com. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. In case you want to give Blake a call at any time, call 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. And if you'd like to email any kind of question, you can just go to ask@BlakeSloanRadio.com. It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming up next, we'll be looking back at some of the top real estate stories of 2012.
Hello, Myrtle Beach. It's Glenn Beck. And if you need
still
to
pretty
sell
good.
your property, you don't have to experience.
We're still pretty good, right? Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Time-wise, when we get back from this, we'll be at about 18.5 or so.
Okay.
So
we'll try to fly through the top 5,
yeah,
and then we'll get to the fiscal cliff at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by it himself. The Wall Street Journal ranks Blake among the top 100 real estate agents in North America. And I personally met Blake, and I can tell you that his national marketing program is unparalleled. Most agents in Myrtle Beach, they stick a sign in your yard, maybe a few balloons, and then they hope a buyer finds you. But Blake spends tens of thousands of dollars attracting buyers from all over the world that come to Myrtle Beach. That helps his properties sell fast and for top dollar. Blake even gives you the option to get out of your contract at any point if you're not happy with his level of service, but you never will. He's the real estate agent I wish I could have called, Blake Sloan. Call him now at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or visit Blake's website and see his interview on NBC. That's Blake'sGuarantee.com. Or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 8 or Sunday morning at 9.
it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan on Hot Talk 99.5 WRNN. I'm your host, Dave Priest. If you listen to the morning show, we do all sorts of end-of-the-year lists. Got, the top 5 political gaffes of the year, the top 5 moneymakers and entertainment of the year, top 5 this and top 5 that. Well, we've got the top 5 real estate stories of 2012 as well. Blake, why don't you go ahead and start us on?
Absolutely, yeah. The top 5 that we have, and this is going to be key into the top stories, obviously, in 2013. Where these are really kind of the most important or most significant. But the main thing here is that housing was a tailwind and not a headwind in regards to the national economy. And over the last several years, many experts have claimed the housing market will not recover until the actual overall economy recovers. And we actually felt different about that, and a lot of other people have as well, where we feel the overall economy will not recover until housing recovers. And this past year, housing has been one of the only bright spots in regards to the overall lethargic economy as a whole. So it's a great thing going into 2013, seeing that happen. But that's really one of the biggest things that we've noticed and that everybody's talking about. The second one is the Fed remained committed to keeping mortgage rates historically low, where at the end of last year, I think 30-year rates were around 3.95%. And we believe that there's only one way to go, which was down. But they proved us wrong, hands down, where Bernanke and the Fed, they continue policies which kept rates historically low. And now, obviously, that's resulting in dropping below 3.4 by the year end, and even lower than that today, which is great. But the other part, too, is that demand remains strong throughout the entire year. And the numbers continue to increase throughout the entire year across the country. So it wasn't really pocketed like certain vacation areas, or they're really kind of helping it be able to stabilize. And that's one thing that's really great too. And the other part is inventory began shrinking a little bit. This is a huge number where housing inventory overall is at its lowest since September 2005, which is the last time people can really think of it being a hot marketplace, which is really good. And that's what's leading to help now. Once that inventory is down there, right, sales are up. Next step there is to be able prices to go up, which is really good. And that's when people really start jumping off the sidelines because they're waiting for that first uptick there. So that's huge. And we can take that a little deeper too, but one thing we'll make sure we get to is that fiscal cliff we were talking about.
Yeah, well, the thing is, most people on Tuesday, that's New Year's Day. But for a lot of people, Tuesday is maybe the first day of this so-called fiscal cliff. Now, the lawmakers are up in Washington, and hopefully this weekend, they're all supposed to be getting together and maybe doing something. We can keep our fingers crossed. But how is that going to be affecting real estate?
This is huge that most people may or may not know about in that situation. It's going to pretty much affect a certain group. And those are anybody that's pretty much a struggling homeowner who may be behind on payments, who may either face foreclosure or short sale, because the key point here is the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act of 2007 is set to expire into this year, where what it does, allows the taxpayers to exclude that difference, the mortgage debt forgiven, from their income. So the website, we'll break it down exactly what it is, but pretty much it allows homeowners to exclude that discharged amount on their taxes, where before, without that, let's say that you had a house for $200,000, let's say it got foreclosed on, only sold for $100 at the foreclosure auction, you would get a 1099 pretty much, owing the $100,000 taxes on the $100,000 that you didn't really have or make. So that tax liability is huge because it's pretty much just a net income added to that, where it's very tough if someone can't pay $800-900 a month for a mortgage payment. They're getting hit with a $30,000 tax bill. Yeah. And that's kind of what's really important, because that fuels short sales a lot. If it does not get fixed or changed, it's really important to obviously do a short sale so you can maximize the value of that to reduce that. So we're planning around all of this as much as possible. We did a news story this past week for it in regards to what they can do. We're hoping and we're confident that they are actually going to do something about it. Just to know about that, there's actually 41 attorneys to 41 states sent a letter all together urging congressional leaders to extend that act. Right. And I feel confident in that regards to, because it's unrealistic for it not to. I mean, here's the deal. It doesn't matter how much they owed. If they can't make that payment, they're certainly going to make a massive tax bill. And those numbers are huge. Those numbers are usually 2-3 times the amount of what people make a year. But the really cool thing here is there's actually some stuff already in Congress. In the U.S. House, there's 2 resolutions, 4336 and 4202. There's also one in the Senate, in Senate Bill 2250. So we don't know exactly if they will before. I probably don't think they will before the deadline. I'm hoping, though, that they do get something into the next year, because it's pointless for them not. Here's the deal. They're not going to get that tax money in most cases anyways, but what it's going to do is hurt the economy in the future, because those people who probably could short sell and buy a year later, like we've had clients do that all the time. Well, guess what? If they have a judgment or a lien against them for a tax liability of $50,000, $100,000, whatever it may be, that's going to keep them from buying that new property, which is huge. So it'll definitely hurt the economy tremendously, because there's so many people who are underwater. There's a lot of people who are still doing strategic defaults, where they're going to short sell it, and they can go rent a house down the street for 1/3 the payment, and they can buy within months. We've had some owners short sell their house, buy a house in the same neighborhood in less than a year, and their mortgage payment was literally half of what they were paying before. And now they have the opportunity to build equity, where before, no matter how long they were doing, they weren't going to see equity or at least get back to zero. Right. For at least 5, 10, 15 years. So it's a huge thing that we're watching to the minute. We'll keep it updated on the website. I honestly don't think that there's a real motivation, for them to. I think that, a certain group of lawmakers, they want the fiscal cliff to go off of it. Either way, I have a little bit of confidence that they will do something, because that's not really something they're going to get a whole lot of tax income from, and it's going to hurt the economy even more long term.
Well, there's a small percentage of the United States population that actually understand what the fiscal cliff is all about, and there are so many different facets and aspects to it. So, here's another one to talk about. So again, you want to find out more information on that, you can go to the radio website, BlakeSloanRadio.com. That's BlakeSloanRadio.com. And you can also give them a call at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, area code 843. Of course, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming back in just a second, we'll talk about some of South Carolina's foreclosure rates and give you the hot deal of the week as we get ready to finish up our show this week in just a minute here. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what does it take to
Probably just going to have time to, not much time probably, right?
Blake Sloan, Sloan Realty Group has a system for attracting buyers that's so effective, he can guarantee to sell your home at a
And when we come back, we'll have about 4 minutes total, but if we play the commercial again, that gives us 3 minutes to talk. So we'll have about 3 minutes. So what you want to...
We can, I guess we can touch them because the foreclosure deal, that's going to probably take a minute or something, right?
Yeah, that's up to you.
We'll just do the foreclosure deal of the week, I guess.
Well, we got 3 minutes to fill, so whatever you think.
All right, we'll do the foreclosure deals first. And
Okay.
if we have time left over, we'll go back to the foreclosure numbers.
Okay, so we'll do the deal of the week first, and then, okay, we'll come back, okay.
Blake Sloan, today at 808-SOLD. That's
Yeah, we'll probably have time.
free home evaluation at blakesguarantee.com. That website again, blakesguarantee.com.
It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan on Hot Talk 99.5 WRNN. I'm your host, Dave Priest, and at the end of every show, we always give you the hot deal of the week, and we want to make sure to be able to fit this in. So what kind of foreclosure deal do we have out there this week, Blake?
It was hard to pick this week. We have a massive amount. We finally got a bunch of prices on because we got literally, I think, about 40-something properties last month that we were just kind of waiting to get the prices on. But this week, the best one, my favorite, 4-bedroom condo in Myrtle, and it's actually on TPC Golf Course, in the golf course community there. It reduced $99,000, and it's actually a lockout. So you go in, and it's got two bedrooms in that. So I mean, if you have golf friends, you can rent it to people on VRBO. There's a lot of cool things. But I mean, $99,000 mortgage payment there is so crazy low. Even people who may want a second home and go in with somebody, guess what? You can actually $50,000 each. Pay cash with that, right? Now you got a place to visit. You're totally separate. You have your own privacy, but at the same time, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with it. Even if you have a company, you can put that in the company's name, use it for some of your employees, have part of it to be yours for your family for a second home, especially anybody that plays golf. And we have a ton of deals like that. Obviously, we're one of the largest foreclosure brokers in the area. We are the largest. And we always have 30 to 50 that aren't even in the market yet. And we can get you guys VIP access to all those prices because the hottest deals do sell first. They sell a lot of times within minutes of hitting the market. And we can help all of you guys out there get access to those the very minute they hit the market. We can usually get you in to see them beforehand so you know. And that way you're prepared. Once we get that price from the bank, we're able to get that to you that very instant. Even if it's 12 o'clock at night, our system will automatically get that to you that very next minute. You know, so that's the key point and part of Unfair Advantage program for buyers to get in there and get those properties.
We got about 1 minute left here, literally. Blake, do you want to fill that up with some foreclosure rates in South Carolina?
There's foreclosure news that came out this week that was kind of alarming for some. It's not a big alarm. I just did a news story. We'll post a news story on the site as well. But South Carolina had a large jump in numbers, but what that was a backlog from that RoboForm signing and things where they were pretty much lots that just been there, that shadow inventory we talked about.
Right.
So it's not that alarming. We did a whole video news story we'll post on the site for you guys. We can also touch base on it next week, but it means they're finally letting loose all that shadow inventory after the election, of course,
Right.
and it'll help stabilize the market where it's not going to keep bleeding to dry.
All right, well, that's about all the time that we have for our show this week. Blake Sloan from the Sloan Realty Group, appreciate you being with us, and hope you had a great Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.
Absolutely, yep. See you guys next year.
All right, if you have any questions, like Blake was just alluding to, a lot of the things we've been talking about will be on the website, which is BlakeSloanRadio.com, BlakeSloanRadio.com, and of course, if you have any email questions, you can go to ask@BlakeSloanRadio.com, and the phone number, as always, 843-808-SOLD, that's 808-SOLD, for Blake Sloan with the Sloan Realty Group. That's this week's show, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. We'll see you next weekend again right here on Hot Talk 99.5.
Hello, Myrtle Beach. It's Glenn Beck. And if you need to sell your property, you don't have to experience all the headaches and long nights that I had to experience when I finally sold my home in Connecticut. Because you have a celebrity right in your backyard, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group, that guarantees to sell your property at a price and a deadline. And a deadline that you agree to.
See, you were worried you wouldn't be able to fit it all in.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Wall Street Journal.
A lot of cool stuff we can talk about and tie in. It's almost hard, what do we talk about? There's so many great things out there. But I think it's kind of important to be able to set the stage and kind of see where we're at. But
Yeah.
I hope they don't get a deal figured out tonight or something with Fiscal Cliff, and we're like talking about not having one that.
They won't. It'll be last minute.
I don't think
if
it's going to
anything.
happen at all. I think they're going to take out the cliff and blame the Republicans. Is what's going to happen.
Yeah, probably.
So-
I think that's probably how it's going to run. Let me go get a CD. real
Okay.
quick.
You're not happy with his level of service, but you never will. He's the real estate agent I wish I could have called, Blake Sloan. Call him now at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or visit Blake's website and see his interview on NBC. That's Blake'sGuarantee.com. Or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 8 or Sunday morning at 9.